Getting new customers for your e-commerce brand is getting harder every single day. That's because advertising costs are rising and going through the roof, which means that getting those customers is becoming more and more expensive. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to turn cold traffic into paying email subscribers and decrease your customer acquisition cost using Welcome Flow. Let's get right into the video. Firstly, just a few words about me and why I'm even speaking about this. So I run an email marketing agency called VentiveMail, where we have worked with over 30 e-commerce brands, and we've made them over $25 million in email sales in the last 4 years. And as I said before, I'm going to show you how to decrease your customer acquisition cost by creating a high converting welcome flow. Now, I made millions of dollars for over 30 brands by improving their welcome flow, so I know the proven strategies that are working right now. What I will show you will work for any brand, in any niche, in any country, and in any language. You're going to learn the fundamentals, but I'm also going to show you some tips and tricks on how to get the best results and how to get them quickly. It's going to work for you even if you have tried using Welcome Flow before and any Welcome Flow that you've tried turned out to be a failure, or if you currently have a welcome flow that's doing average. Now, you might be wondering, why is this important? That's because welcome flow converts new cold traffic leads and makes them first-time buyers, and when executed correctly, it can generate even up to 10% of your total store's revenue. You're spending money on ads anyway, or at least I hope you are, because that's still, important thing to grow your brand. And having a great welcome flow will help you drive your customer acquisition cost down, which will allow you to reinvest this money into ads and keep doing it over and over again. So you decrease your customer acquisition cost, which means that you have more money to spend, you put more money into ads, you get more customers, and so on and so on. You're doing it like running circle pretty much. Then you can fully customize a prospect journey using your welcome flow. You can solve all of their objections and make them loyal fans. Also, when done correctly, it can be your best friend in increasing AOV. For example, instead of promoting one SKU, you can focus on pushing multiple bundles or complementary products to your main product. Now, outdated strategies don't work anymore, and this is a fact. And if you are not following this year's trends and frameworks, you are getting behind your competitors who implement up-to-date tactics. Now, one more thing is that making some of key mistakes can cost you 6, even up to 7 figures in annual revenue, and this guide will show you how to avoid making all of them. And I know this for sure because I've audited dozens of brands, and the changes I've suggested that they made also saved them a ton of money by just implementing them. So make sure that you watch the entire thing. Very quickly, what this document is going to show you is current e-commerce trends, which means what's working right now. I'm also going to show you the biggest mistakes with many welcome flows. The number one thing you must get right, the proper welcome flow structure and the exact examples of every single email, how to optimize your welcome flow, and as the bonus, you'll get a free welcome email plus pop-up. In case you're wondering, does this work? Here's your answer. One brand where we almost doubled their welcome flow revenue. We took them from roughly 18K to 35K, getting to 40 right now. Another brand, $1.9 per recipient from their welcome flow, which is great because this brand is pretty low AOV. Their AOV is around $28, so this revenue per recipient is pretty high. Another brand, over $2 per recipient. Another one, 1.7. Another one, $21 per recipient every single month. That's high ticket brand and store, that's why it's so high. And lastly, almost $6 per recipient every single month as well. It's all on autopilot, monthly results. That's what you can get for your brand as well if you do it correctly. Now, let's talk about current e-commerce trends. So first of all, competition is at an all-time high. And this is a fact. It might not be something you want to like or hear, but it's true. It's 2024, competition is getting bigger than ever, and even the most niche industry you can think of has dozens of competitors. Being good these days is not enough because you must be aiming for excellence in all areas of your brand, including your welcome flow. How you do one thing is how you do everything, and that couldn't be more accurate. The other trend is that there's too much choice because more competition means more choice for your customers. If someone wants to get any product you can imagine, they have endless choices. They might run a Google or TikTok search to find some brands. Then they're gonna see an ad on Meta and they're gonna click it. What happens a few hours later is they're being targeted with ads from tens of your competitors, which all are fighting for the same customer. And the truth is that if someone is looking for a specific product, they're actively searching for it, or even if they're not doing it actively, they still are gonna buy just one product. They're not gonna buy from 5 brands to try them out. They're gonna choose one of the choices they have available, and you need to make sure that this choice is you. The other fact and trend is that prospects right now are getting more indecisive. That's because if you combine too much choice with a low attention span, it leads to indecisiveness. You can have the most exquisite product variation you can think of, and you can do all of this and get this product without even lifting a finger, just doing it from the comfort of your own home. And what's more important is that people hate making choices. That's because they have multiple objections, like, for example, what if I choose wrong? What if I could make a better decisions? All of these concerns are valid, and this is your job to address them rationally and emotionally as well. Another fact is that inboxes are getting more and more crowded. There are 9.7 billion emails sent every day in the US. Just think about it. It's a lot of emails. And I know that a lot of people, mention that, okay, email marketing doesn't work anymore. It's 2024. It worked 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which is true. But right now it's actually working better than ever because people are also like getting used to it. And they know that, for example, getting promotional emails into an inbox isn't a bad thing. It's getting competitive not only when running ads, but also when sending emails. As you can see, quite a lot of emails being sent every single day. Customers sign up for multiple email lists and treat them as their to-do list. Maybe they will buy one day, maybe not. They don't really care that much, and days of getting a dopamine hit from an email and acting immediately are gone. So it means that someone can just sign up to 10 brands and be like, okay, maybe one day I'm gonna buy from this brand, maybe another day I'm gonna buy from this brand. Let's see if they convince me, I'm gonna buy it. If not, then so be it. Another trend is that a lot of brands are only selling, which isn't a bad thing, don't get me wrong. Selling is very important. Like, a lot of people tell you to never sell in your emails, which isn't true, but you need to also combine other content with strictly selling. Because the truth is that people are getting emails from multiple brands and all of them are selling them the same product. I know that every single product is different, but let's say someone is buying, weight loss supplement. Of course, they're going to have different choices, but what the prospect has in mind is that they want to buy weight loss supplement, right? And that's not a wrong thing because, as I said, you need to be selling your product to those people, unlike some other marketers tell you to only educate people and never sell them. It's not true. Like, you won't sell because otherwise you won't survive. But prospects have become more sophisticated now and they're harder to convert. That's why you need to solve their objections on top of selling. If they need to choose from a brand that's only have sales emails showing a discount code versus a brand that shows reviews, guarantees, FAQs, and discount codes, who do you think they'll choose? The choice is pretty obvious. If you have a brand that's constantly just, sending 30% off, 30% off by now, 30% off by now, 30% off by now, versus a brand that, for example, hey, check why thousands of mothers across the US trust, our pacifier. Plus, if you want, get 30% off. Or hey, if you don't like our electronics, whatever the kind of device, you have a 30-day money back guarantee. So you don't have to worry about it. If you don't like it, just send it back, no question asked. And you also have 30% off, so buy now. Or if someone has like an FAQ, which is quite simple. For example, we work with a brand in a dental niche, and a lot of people are concerned about taking impressions themselves. So if you have a brand selling 30% off buy now versus a brand showing you like, hey, taking impressions is actually super easy. You don't need much effort or skill to do it. So here's the guide. And if you want to buy from us, here's 30% off. Who do you think they'll choose? I mean, the choice is obvious because you need to be selling, but you need to be clearing the objections as well. That's because people just buy from brands that they trust. So your main choice and pretty much only choice is either to stand out or be left out. With so much competition out there, once again, these are your only two choices: stand out or be left out. Your emails need to be good. Your prospects need to remember your emails and your brand, because this is how you make it in any market, which right now every market is pretty much competitive, by sending great content that sells and also educates and solves objections. Once again, I want you to remember that I'm not talking about never selling, because you should be selling, you should be doing it often, but you should be combining your selling with multiple different angles that solve objections. Now, let's talk about the biggest mistakes with many welcome flows. The first one is double opt-in, where it mainly slows down your list growth. Slower list growth means fewer people entering the welcome flow, and the fewer people entering the welcome flow, the less revenue you'll generate, because you'll have just fewer people entering the flow itself. So what you need to do is you need to switch up to single opt-in right away, and your welcome flow revenue and volume will increase instantly. Another huge mistake is wrong length. So when auditing dozens of 7 and 8 figure brands, I noticed there are two extremes. First one is where the welcome flow was super short, like 1 or 2 emails only, and the other one was the welcome flow was super long, like 15 emails or more. Both of these approaches were wrong, and don't get me wrong as well, because 15 emails in the welcome flow can make sense, but not for majority of the brands. I'll cover it later on so you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Short welcome flows aren't enough. That's because 1 or 2 emails can't cover all major objections. With 15 emails on the other hand, usually only 4 or 5 are responsible for 95% of the total flows revenue. On top of that, the open rates usually don't look that well for emails above number 10. Poor copy, it's another huge mistake. That's because generalized and poor copy can make or break your welcome flow. You can't afford to send generalized content that people receive from other brands as well. If you want to stand out, you want your copy to be great, because that's how your prospects and subscribers will remember your brand. Your emails should solve objections, just like I mentioned before. They should also build trust and prove that your brand is the best choice for your target customer. Ineffective designs, another big one, where if you combine poor copy and ineffective designs, then your welcome flow can't be successful. Designs are part of make or break it aspect of your welcome flow. If your emails look bad, people won't click on them. It's as simple as that. But if your emails are hard to read, people won't click on them either. If you're using the wrong email structure, people won't click on them as well. You see, there are dozens of factors that are critical if you want your emails to perform and be effective. All you need to do is have optimized designs that are congruent with your brand and will perform well. Hard selling everywhere, already covered it before. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm doing it for our client as well, and you need to be doing it too. But you must be doing it the right way. You can't only be hard selling. If it was about the only discount, then people would just buy from the cheapest brand out there. Like anyone who gives the biggest discount gets the entire market share. This is how it would work. But fortunately, it's not like that, because it's also about solving the prospect objections and giving them peace of mind. If your prospect knows that you will be their best choice and they won't regret buying from you because they trust you, they'll be happy to spend money with you. They won't regret it. You're gonna have customer for life. That's why having right emails is so important. Now, ignoring plain text is another great example of a mistake that you shouldn't do, because if you remember stand out part, this is how you do it, and this is one of the best strategies to use in your welcome flow to stand out. If you were to go to your inbox right now and check how many plain text emails you received from e-commerce brand, I bet it's not many. Like I myself have multiple accounts which are burner accounts where I just collect, emails for inspiration for my team. I'm not seeing that many plain text emails. Like some of them, of course, send plain text emails, but it's like, very low percentage of all emails are received, maybe 1 or 2%, which is a shame because they perform insanely well. They're also a powerful tool for building a relationship with your prospects. That's because text-only emails feel personal, and especially when the email itself is, for example, an email from the founder talking about the story behind the brand. It makes the whole experience way more personal, and it performs better because, once again, it makes people know you better and your brand as well. Lack of tagging. So this is something you might have not heard before, but your welcome flow should be a thoughtfully designed experience. Every email someone receives should have an idea behind it and serve a specific purpose. That's why you should be excluding all those people from your campaigns. You want your subscribers to go through the flow just like you prepared it and designed it, without any campaigns interrupting in the middle. This is why you should be tagging everyone who enters and exits your welcome flow, because it will help you create a segment of non-buyers as well who went through your welcome flow. Once again, this one is mainly about just providing great experience. So if someone is meant to receive 6 emails from you, each covering different objection, you don't want to be sending them campaign about, leave us a review or follow us on social media, because that's gonna be not right and it just won't perform well. Wrong filters, another big one, and many brands don't even realize it. They don't even know what these filters are. But filtering who enters your welcome flow is as important as preparing the emails you will send. You want the right people to enter it. That's why you need to exclude anyone who subscribed for checkout. You can do it, for example, by adding a filter to your welcome flow in Klaviyo, which is checkout started 0 times in the last 1 or 2 hours. This way, you will avoid false attribution as well. So if someone joined through the checkout and then bought right away and they have false opens on their Apple device, DCL will get attributed to email, which once again creates false data. On top of that, you should also be excluding bounced emails to ensure proper deliverability. Now, let's talk about setting right the foundations and the number one thing you must get right. So your welcome flow is honestly your brand's most important asset, but in order for it to succeed, you need to get the foundations right. And by foundations, I mean your sign up form. That's because the welcome flow relies on your list growth, and if you don't have any new subscribers joining, then you won't have any welcome flow recipients, and the welcome flow itself won't generate revenue. As simple as that. Let's talk about the pop-up and welcome flow. So, as you probably already know, your pop-up will have direct impact on your welcome flow. If your pop-up performs worse by 25%, your welcome flow will be directly impacted. It will follow the performance and perform worse by 25% as well. On the other hand, if you double your submission rate, your welcome flow revenue will double as well. The quality of people joining will be another huge factor because high quality subscribers can bring you higher revenue per recipient than low quality ones. If you want to learn how to make a perfect pop-up, you can check out my other video, which is gonna be a complete pop-up masterclass showing you how to convert between 5 to 15% of your total traffic into email subscribers. Let's also talk briefly about zero-party data. You're gonna learn more about this in the other video. But collecting zero-party data for your pop-up can make a huge difference to your welcome flow. That's because people who give you all of this information will be more qualified and they'll be just higher quality subscribers. You will be also able to personalize and customize your emails more. All of this will lead to a higher revenue per recipient and earn more revenue overall, at least if you do it right. Once again, on both of these topics, there's completely another video, but make sure you watch it after this one because soon I'm gonna show you the exact emails that you should be sending in your welcome flow. So here it is, the proper welcome flow structure with the examples. You can find the most optimal structure below, structure we are using to get rock solid results for 7 and 8-figure brands. And if it's a bit overwhelming, no worries, I'm gonna break down every single email in this video. We'll also show you some examples. So this is once again it. You're gonna have access to this document. You'll be able to click on this and then expand it as well so you can see the full image. But in general, the trigger is simple. Subscribe to your main email list. Email number 1 is gonna be about giving an incentive only. Email number 2 is gonna be about guarantees and objections. Email number 3 is gonna be about USPs, or what makes your brand different from competitors. Email number 4 is gonna be social proof, and email number 5 is gonna be incentive last call. Now, trust me, this structure has been proven to work. If you watched my other videos from 1 year ago, for example, you might notice that we were using a different structure back then, which is true, but our strategies are evolving, like we are following the trends. And back in the day, like having long welcome flows was the meta, like having a lot of emails would make sense. But what is happening right now is that we're noticing on multiple accounts that whenever we have a welcome flow longer than 5 emails, it's for highly niche brands that need a lot of education. But for majority of the brands, having these 5 emails is the best approach because once again, these are usually responsible for 95% of your total welcome flow sales anyways. And after people complete this welcome flow, we can start targeting with campaigns right away. On the other hand, if the welcome flow is 10 emails long, it means that if you're using 1-day delays, someone would take 5 more days to complete this flow and they wouldn't be getting campaigns right away. So once again, this structure is proven to work. We've backtested it quite a lot and this is what works right now. So make sure that you implement it. As for the flow filters, I covered how important they are. So I want to make sure you're using the right ones. As you can see, you can use them for your welcome flow. It will exclude everyone who bounced, people who subscribed through checkout as well. Placed order filter, which is this one, is there to stop sending the other welcome emails after someone bought while being in this flow. Let me explain this. Let's say you have a prospect that enters the welcome flow, they receive the first email, they don't buy. Then they receive the second email, they don't buy either. But then they're gonna receive the third email and they will buy. If you have this filter in place, placed order 0 times since starting this flow, it means that if they bought from your third email in the flow, they won't receive the following 2 emails, which is something that you want. And of course, if they didn't buy or they haven't bought from this email, they would get the next 2 emails, so no worries about it. Let's talk about email number 1, which is mainly about giving people an incentive, showing bestsellers or reviews. This email should deliver on your promise, which is your incentive from the sign up form. You want to give people the promised discount code, show them your best sellers, and add maximum one review. Why one review? Well, if you add more, it's gonna be too long. It should be short and to the point, and adding one review is optional. You don't need to really do this, but you can if your email would be short otherwise. Here's an example, showing the discount code right above the above the fold. It may seem like the header is long, but that's because we're clarifying that, like the criteria for the discount code to be applied, and then button literally one sentence, and then just linking the collections, and then linking to the homepage. As simple as that. Your email shouldn't be more complicated than this, because the only thing people care about in this one is the discount anyway. And you can of course link the collections so that the shorter their customer journey is shorter, because instead of going through a homepage to collection to the product, they're gonna be in the collection page viewing the products right away. So you're essentially removing 2 steps from their journey, which are 2 clicks less to them buying from you. Email number 2 is about clearing objections and showing guarantees. If a discount code isn't enough for someone, it means they have some other objections, which quite often will be the case. It's best to target them as soon as possible, these objections I mean, and that's why your second email in the welcome flow should cover your most common objections and show any guarantees that you have. This will get a lot of prospects through the door, converting them into buyers. Here's an example talking about, the safest product for someone's baby, which is a huge USP. It's very important, and we're just talking about, we're kind of making the claim from the header stronger that hey, this is your best choice, the safest choice. Because if someone is buying the bathtub, they want the safest choice for their baby with design which is preventing babies from sleeping, for example. Once again, you can just pause the video and look at this email, but it's a good one, so make sure that you learn from this. Email number 3, this one is gonna talk about your USPs, which is unique selling propositions. Or another angle is us versus them. Great visual representation of us versus them is going to be a comparison table, just showcasing multiple features and benefits, ideally both of them, that your product has versus competitor's product. Works very well, so you can try this as well. And as I mentioned before, there's a lot of competition out there and a lot of brands that people can buy from. That's why you need to show them why they should buy from you specifically. Talk about what makes you different and better, and remember to focus on both benefit and feature, as people are looking for differences in both. I know a lot of people are talking about benefits only and making it emotional only, but the truth is that features are also important. People care about them as well, so make sure that you clarify why your product is best in terms of both. Here's an example, pretty simple one, just talking straight up, addressing this objection right away. Talking about why we are different, about the ingredients of this product, because we know that this is important for this target audience, so we're talking about it. Email number 4, social proof. Building trust is extremely important. This is one of the first touches that your prospect has with your brand. To be exact, this is the 4th touch that they have with your brand. So you need to show them some kind of social proof to let them know that your brand is legit and that your product works. That's because many people are gonna, be wondering okay, I want to buy this, but does this work? It's a very simple objection, which you can simply solve by showing social proof and reviews. You can do this by, as I said before, showing customer reviews, testimonials, but also press mentions or influencers reviews, mentions, or posts. Influencers work great, especially if they are niche specific influencers. So make sure that you use them if you can. Here's an example, once again, just very short and brief introduction, literally 2 sentences, and then we're just showing the reviews and call to action. Email number 5, this is gonna be the last call for the incentive, because sometimes all that people like to buy is urgency. So this one little push will get them over the fence. Sending an email like this will take them from, I have time, I will think about it later, to, alright, let me get this thing. And here's an example, once again, we are clarifying quite quickly that the discount code is going to expire soon, and then we are just talking about the brand in a few sentences to introduce it a little bit better, and then one call to action. As simple as that. No need to overcomplicate this. Once again, you may think that these emails are pretty simple, and they are, because that's the purpose and the idea. They want to be simple, but you want to be covering specific objections and solving them to make sure that you convert these people. Now let's talk about how to optimize your welcome flow. The first thing you can do to optimize your welcome flow and generate more revenue from it is simply adding more emails. I know I've mentioned not having too long of a flow, so hear me out. I've seen and created hundreds of welcome flows, and the structure you saw above is still the best starting point. Usually these emails will be responsible for generating 80 to 90%, even 95% of the whole welcome flows sales anyway. And in many cases, these 5 emails, the main ones, will be more than enough. But if you really want to make it better, you can keep adding more emails. Before you do it, make sure your current emails are performing well. So make sure that every single email in this flow is already generating sales and that your open rates for emails 4 and 5 are at least 40%. You might be wondering, okay, but why for emails 4 and 5 and not only 5, right? Like following this structure. Well, it's mainly because email number 5 is a plain text one, so it's always gonna have better open rates than email number 4. That's why you want to also check these emails open rates to see if it's doing fine. Here are some of the angles that you can add to your welcome flow to convert more people. FAQs, answering your most common questions, listicles, sending blog posts, sending advertorials, talking about myths about your brand or products or your niche, upgrading their discount from, for example, 10% to 15%, pushing your best sellers and bundles, or you can just talk about your brand and use the plain text format to describe the story from the founder. You might be wondering when more is too much. So in general, you don't want your welcome flow to be 20 emails long because majority of the emails won't perform at all anyways. So you don't need to make so many content and emails in general. But at the same time, you still have weekly campaigns going on that are meant to convert these non-buyers as well. Like that's the main purpose that I was explaining behind this welcome flow, that you want to have 5 emails that are like, catchy, to the point, actionable, and then you can start sending your campaigns. Usually you don't really want to go above 8 to 10 emails, like that should be your maximum. I've seen welcome flows with 12 to 15 emails doing fine too, but like I mentioned before in this video, quite often these, long, super long welcome flows were niche products where the audience needed a lot of education and touch points, right? So usually don't go above 8 to 10, but honestly, these 5 emails are gonna be more than enough to start with at least. Now I also want to talk about the importance of testing as we are talking about optimizing your welcome flow. So adding more emails is one way to boost your welcome flow's revenue, but optimizing it is the other. Most likely it's a better one as well. That's because you can keep adding emails and sometimes they might generate, a few extra sales here and there, but each test, if you do it correctly and if you have, a winning variation which is really like a strict winner, it can improve your email's performance even by up to 100%. Don't get your hopes high, sometimes your tests can fail as well, and the new variation will be performing 20 to 50% worse than the initial one, but that's why you need to keep testing until you find winners. Even 10 to 20% better performance is great, as it will add up across the weeks, months, and years, and it's gonna make you more revenue. One more slide about testing mindset, because it's very important that you get it right and don't give up too quickly. Testing can be easy. Some tests will require small effort and will take you 1 hour to set up, but others will be required to create dozens of new emails, which can take days to set up. But I want you to understand that this is an ongoing process and approach every test as like a hypothesis, not as uncertainty. Some tests will fail, some will succeed, and this is 100% normal. Don't get discouraged if your tests fail. Treat them as a lesson and as something that you're gonna teach about your audience and what resonates more with your email list. It's very, very important because you want to, once again, be treating this as like your thesis. So like, okay, my welcome flow right now is doing fine, but for example, email number 1 has open rate of 35%. Okay, I think that if I create this subject line by, for example, putting the offer, the incentive in the subject line instead of preview text, it will improve my welcome flow's performance. If it doesn't, it's fine. At least I know that my audience prefers not having the offer front in the subject line. Okay, so that's how you want to approach them. Once again, this is an ongoing process, and even if your tail test doesn't find a new winning variation, you still have learned something about your audience, which is gonna be invaluable. Let's talk about the first test, which is gonna be your offer. Your offer will be impacting your welcome flow and your sign up form as well. It can change quite a lot in terms of submission rate, revenue per recipient, and also total revenue. The best approach here is to list multiple offers and just test them one by one. Here are some of the examples of offers that you can test, which is percentage off, dollars off, free shipping, free gift, buy one, get one free. Time delays. This is one of these tests that usually you need to run and you can run once. But what I mean by that is that you can test shorter versus longer time delays. As a starting point, I recommend 1 day time delay between each email. You can split test it against 12 hours to see if that would increase your sales. In specific niches, people might be acting more emotionally and impulsively than in others, and this is why shorter time delays might do better as well. Higher ticket niches, for example, might need longer time delays, as customers tend to do longer research and think about their purchase a bit longer before they spend thousands of dollars. For example, a $40 t-shirt is going to be a more impulsive purchase than a $5,000 outdoor sauna. Okay? Subject lines. So the biggest misconception about subject lines is that they impact only your open rates. They do impact them, which is like true, and I can't argue with this, but they also impact your conversion rate. Subject lines act as a pre-frame tool that affects buying intent. This is not a hypothesis, because we've run hundreds of subject line A/B tests and we saw a pattern. The screenshot below, which you can see right here, is a perfect example of this. The first variation, which is this one, didn't mention an incentive in the subject line, and the second one mentioned the incentive in the subject line and was 4 words long. So your offer is here, right? Something like this. And you can see that the second variation had more clicks and higher AOV and more sales. Even the open rate was lower. So in this case, we are still testing subject lines, but actually the first variation had higher open rate. So you might think, okay, let's go with this one. Couldn't be further from truth. You want to be looking at all of these metrics, right? That's why it's so important to track your revenue, because ultimately your business survives on revenue, not on your open rates, right? Order of the emails, another low-hanging fruit, because you don't need to create a new email. You can just switch the sending order. For example, you can send a social proof email as your second email in the welcome flow instead of handling objections and guarantees. The framework I gave you is proven, don't get me work, it's tested, but we've seen cases where putting social proof and reviews higher in the structure was getting us better results. So run a few of these tests for your brand to understand which angles are important to your subscribers and prospects at specific time of their customer journey. Formats. By formats, I mean plain text and design-based emails. This can make a significant difference as well. For example, plain text emails might have better deliverability and a 50% higher open rate, which would mean 50% more people seeing your emails. Secondly, they can help you stand out, as not many brands are using them at all, which is something I mentioned as well. And lastly, they feel more personal and work great as reminders or emails from the founder. You don't want to be using them everywhere, but if you have a design-based email that it's underperforming, you can give a plain text a shot and just try this format and recreate your design-based email into plain text email to see how it's going to perform. Angles, another important one, because if you don't want to keep adding more emails, but still want to try different angles, just do it. Testing them can also make a huge difference. And I can't give you all the winning angles for your brand because I don't know it as well as you do. So if you think that an angle might work and do better than the one I gave you in this structure, in this video, create an email and launch the test and see if it does better. It definitely will be worth it, and once again, even if it fails, you're gonna know what resonates with your audience better. Landing page, that's very important. Last but not least, you can run this test even if you don't have any dedicated landing pages. If you have listicles, advertorials, or landing pages for specific products or bundles, testing this, running this A/B test is a no-brainer. But if you don't have any of that, it's still a valuable test. That's because running a simple test, which is homepage versus collection page versus product page, can already be meaningful, and you can see which one does better for your brand specifically. Let's talk about your bonus right now. So if you're on an e-com brand doing at least 50K per month in revenue, we're gonna do a free welcome email for you and a free pop-up as well. We're gonna do it completely from scratch. You can just book a call with me using the link in the description down below. We're gonna have a quick chat just so I understand your brand a little bit better. And then after we do it, we're gonna create a new pop-up and welcome email from scratch. We're gonna upload it to your Klaviyo account and we're gonna launch a direct A/B test so you can see what performs better. Once again, it's completely free. All you have to do is click your strategy section below this video so I can get to know your brand better. Now, congratulations on becoming the Welcome Flow expert. This is it for this tutorial, and I really hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. If you want to get a lot of free resources, which I could be easily charging a lot of money for, join my newsletter, which is completely free, and you're gonna be getting weekly updates from me, weekly strategies, tips, and tricks. If you want to stay in touch, you can also contact me via email at conrad@ventivemail.com, on YouTube by using the comment section, on LinkedIn or on Twitter. And this is it for this video. Now, one last important thing is that As you have noticed, I have mentioned your pop-up and submission rate quite a lot in this video. That's because the pop-up is the foundation of your welcome flow. The more people you have entering and submitting the pop-up, the higher your welcome flow revenue. So if you want to learn how to create a high converting pop-up that converts 5 to 15% of your total traffic into these email subscribers, watch this video, which is gonna show up right now on the screen, because you need to learn how to do this. Thanks for watching, see you next soon. Cheers.